So we are now playing back at our old stadium as our new stadium is getting expanded after only one season. I mean, it's not too bad. Welcome home and make our new home even better.
This is just an intro, you better believe it. Jesus, that was bad. Yep, welcome to the series.
So welcome to the European recap for the 2035-36 season. My name is Paul, also known as the Northman, and if you stumble across this series on today's video, welcome in. I'll try to recap you how the last year in Europe has gone, and hopefully you'll catch up with where we are in this Build a Nation series. And if you are enjoying it, make sure you do go and drop a like on it. So as I say, we have returned to our old stadium for games this season, except for in Europe where we're still playing in the new stadium, which makes no sense. It's some sort of a bug, but I'm definitely happy with it because in the past we've been relocated. So the fact we're still playing in our new stadium in Europe is nice, and we're playing in our old stadium here when we have league games. So Champions League qualifications start against FC Nordsjælland, and we were looking poor. We got 2-2 draw at home with Diaz and Samaria on the score sheet, but at no point did we look good, comfortable, like we deserved anything. 31 shots to 13 pretty much sums it up. Now, luckily, we booked our ideas up for the away leg and got 2-0 victory. Diaz and Samaria again scoring the goals, which saw us go through 4-2 on aggregate to the next round. There we would face Lille of France, and Diaz, Rogder and Samaria on the score sheet saw us get a 3-2 victory to take back to France, as Streamlabs messages me in the corner, go away. And we got a 5-0 victory away from home, and this was the most dominant goal-scoring performance I think I've ever witnessed. Mom on the score sheet, a player who I've never really used much. He's always been in our youth teams. Fafana, Samaria with 2, and Amadou, our defender, on the score sheet as well. 5-0. 5-0. So our first group stage game was away to Galatasaray, and a 1-0 victory with Shelby on the score sheet. So we'll start the campaign with 3 points. We then had Bromby come to our stadium, and 20 shots to 8 doesn't sum this up. 64% possession of 36 doesn't sum this up. We did not deserve anything from this game. So a 2-2 draw, 1 point. I'm very happy to take it. We then travelled to Bayer Leverkusen and got 2-1 victory, and this shocked me. Travelling to Germany and getting a win is more than I could have ever expected, and I was really pleased with this. I would say brought back down to earth with the 2-1 defeat to Real Madrid, but to be honest with you, I went home, fired up a cup of tea and was delighted with a 2-1 defeat. I don't know if firing up a cup of tea makes sense. 2-2 draw against Marseille in the next game, Vedvik and Diaz on the score sheet. Again, we are looking very decent in Europe. Probably jinxed it because we then lost in England against Wolves 3-2. But again, that odd goal defeat, losing by 1 goal to Real Madrid, 1 goal to Wolves. We'll take that, right? We'll take that. We then played RB Leipzig in the groups and lost 3-1, and this was the first time I've sat back and watched the game and thought we are getting smashed, and this was it. And then it continued, a 5-0 defeat to Milan, and we looked very poor in them 2 games. And we somehow scraped through into the knockout rounds in 23rd place, and after looking so good before Christmas, then back-to-back defeats almost saw us go out in the group stage, but going through, the confidence was very low that we could do something. So in terms of players added over the winter period then, Jean-Pierre Jusland comes in from Molde, and I'm really excited by this guy. 22 years old, can play in the shadow striker or striker position, and he just looks really solid. Cost us 2.5 million. It's another premium buy because of him being Norwegian, but I honestly think he looks a decent player. We picked up a central defender from Odds who, again, I think looks really solid. Only 20 years old. We paid 925k from him. Class Andre Hakkansson Gunnarsson. I mean, that's a mouthful. Comes in 925k, money well spent in my opinion. Now this was a great sign. I've been watching this guy since he came through the intake in 33, and Jakob Blixt Narsheim comes in for 5 million from Valerenga. Comes in as our backup goalkeeper for the next couple of seasons. But honestly, he could easily be our number one now. But I'm just thinking if he continues to develop, when Hansen gets 34, 35, this kid's going to be 23, 24. It's just going to be a passing of the baton, isn't it? And I'm really, really excited. And hopefully, we're in a position to hold on this type of player. A new left wing back coming in from Valerenga for 3.5 million is over Benjamin Dalfossum, and he doesn't look a world beater technically, but mentally and physically really, really solid, and technically is not the worst and can improve, aged only 19. I did try to look to bring in some depth in them positions, and Joseph Wright coming in from Freiburg for 1 million, aged only 18. I think he could develop really well as a left wing back, going to play in our youth team this season, probably next season as well. Maybe I think he might be a bit too old actually. Maybe we'll send him out on loan inside Norway if we can next year. Looks a decent player. Back-to-back American signings. This one does have some Norwegian blood in him though, in Ben Cruz. Comes in, central defender, 6'6". 9 passing isn't too bad as well. A season in our youth team as well. I'm really pleased with it. So the only player on this side to look at is Christian Knapskog, who's gone to Racing Santander. Disappointing to lose for the second time an academy player. In terms of he went to Sassuolo earlier on in his career. Someone who was with us at the start as well, but he has now gone to play in Spain for a season or two. We'll see how he does. Maybe we'll bring him back, but I think we're just a bit too big for him at the minute. But when I click on the next screen, just remember, sometimes in Football Manager, you go backwards a couple of steps and then you push forward. We've probably gone backwards a bit at the minute. So, first off, Durish has left the club. Going to Atletico Madrid for 11.25 million. It's a sale I didn't want to make. We paid 2 million for him, had him for a couple of years, and have sold him for 11.25. He's such a good player, but again, complain he wants to leave. I try not to hold on to players who don't want to be here, so he's ended up leaving. Underdal Lockdoor. Never ever looked good in the match engine. Whenever we used him, he always looked poor. Gave away so many short, easy passes. We end up getting our money back. We signed him for 1.4. We sold him for 1.6 to FC Twente. So we've let him go. Another academy player who's with us from the start is Egersund, who I did hope was going to be back in around the first team this season. We've ended up selling him for 140k to go and play in Portugal. So we wish him well and just hope that he can continue his career for a few years over there. Sunder's gone on loan. Christensen's gone to Malmo on a free. There was nothing I could do. He wasn't good enough to stick around anyway. Volnes has gone to Gothenburg, another player we brought in and have ended up losing. Vika, one of our youngster goalkeepers, has gone to Junkeren on loan, but he has just picked up a major injury. Was it ligaments? Crucial ligaments. He's out for another 8 weeks to 4 months, which is a bit upsetting just as season starts. Morm has gone to Ollesund this season on loan. He is joining them permanently as well at the end of the season as well. We wish him well. He just never did the business for us. And Delcas has gone to Marseille, another player who came through the intake and we lost due to not being on a contract. These youth contracts in Norway can pick up. So yeah, that step backwards for me is Duric leaving the club. It's absolutely heartbreaking he's gone, but I'm hoping we can find someone to replace him. We did obviously pick up this Jersland, who maybe could step into the attack midfield strata and do a good job there. And maybe have him and Diaz both as shadow strikers. It's something I'm considering. Let me know what you think about that option. And the other thing to look at is we have had intake. It wasn't amazing, so we'll go through them. So first off, Aydin, who is a goalkeeper with Turkish and Norwegian nationality. Not the best. Kval Vagnes is 1.5 star currently. Centre midfielder. He does look decent, to be honest with you. So he is someone I'm interested to keep an eye on. Valrig looks fairly solid. Physically, though, is very, very weak. And that's a bit concerning. Keep an eye on him. Frogner is a striker who... he has a lot of all-round attributes, but none of them are great. Stoltenberg, again, looks fairly solid. Again, a lot of all-round attributes, but again, nothing is fantastic. And Ian is the last one we'll look at, who, again, nothing special. So intake this year wasn't the best, but I guess you can't always have people who come through. And let's just remember that we do have Geir Fossum, who came through in last year's intake, who just still blows my mind at how bloody good this guy is. He is wanted by people, though. Inter Milan. Sure, we can scare them away. So as we continue our Champions League look back then, we came up against Calgary in the playoff round, and we got 2-1 victory at home. Samare and Rogda on the score sheet, but they looked good. They looked really, really good. And it was shown in the second leg where they got 2-0 victory and knocked us out 3-2 on aggregate. So it was very, very tight. But unfortunately, we went out in the knockout round to the Champions League this year. And if we go to the Champions League, you can see the winners ended up being RB Leipzig, who did absolutely smash us in the group stage. And they have justified winning the Champions League with how well they played in that game alone. I mean, if you can beat us, you can beat anyone, right? Right? So let's have a look at how the other teams did in Europe. So the first one is Vålerenga, who played in the Europa League. Went straight in at the group phase, losing the first game 2-0 to Dynamo Kiev, before beating Dynamo Tbilisi, Sheriff from Moldova, Wolfsburg, they got beat 1-0 before drawing against Gothenburg and then beating Vitesse. And then going into the 2036 year, Djurgårdens they beat 2-0 before losing to Fiorentina, but they did go through and in the knockout rounds came up against Brann, so Norwegian side against Norwegian side, which is very upsetting because that means only one side could go through. But they lost the first leg 2-1 before beating Brann in the second leg 3-1. They then came up against Sturm Graz in the round of 16, and that's a game they should be winning. So 1-0 draw in the first leg before losing 2-1 away from home. But around the 16, they could have been so close to getting into the quarterfinals. But that shows how close other teams are to being successful. So fair play to them there. We can go straight to Brann then and go to schedule. And just quickly remove all these other ones and we can see how they did as well. So last year, they entered in the qualifying round against Lech Poznan. And you can see 2-2 draw at home before a 2-0 victory away from home. They then came against Austrian side Hartberg, 2-0 victory at home before 0-0 away. They then played Hearts from Scotland, a 2-1 defeat away from home before 3-0 victory at home. In the group stage then, Slovan Bratislava, a 1-0 defeat before they also played Sheriff and won 3-0. Lost to AEK before drawing against Nice, very nice. Losing to Newcastle 2-0 before beating Apoel. And now after Christmas, they drew against Ajax and drew against Valencia before going out to Vålerenga in the knockouts. So Viking Stavanger also were in Europe. They were in the Conference League and they came against Lokomotiv first and got 1-1 draw at home before a 1-0 victory away from home saw them through. Is that a Croatian side? It is Croatian side. They then came up though against probably the hardest team they could get, against West Ham. Is that the third? No, that's fourth qualifier, so they were very close to the group stage. But a 3-1 defeat at home and 3-0 away from home. You're coming up against West Ham. I mean, sometimes you just got to hold your hands up and say, we came against the best team. So now let's look at Sogndal, who also played in the Champions League. So they started off against Bromby with a 2-1 victory before defeats to Galatasaray, Arsenal and Napoli all back-to-back, before draws against Rangers and Malmo to end the year. But after Christmas, they finished the group stage with a 4-0 defeat to Chelsea and a 4-2 defeat to Porto. So, very disappointing, but I do think Sogndal were almost a shock to win the league. Maybe they're not quite as good as some of the other teams in the division, and yeah, I couldn't see them doing much better in the Champions League group stage, to be honest with you. So in terms of rankings-wise, how did we do? We picked up 11.8 points, which sees us currently on 67.1, starting this season with 54.1. So we are quite far behind Portugal and quite far ahead of Sweden. So we're kind of cemented in that 8th place at the minute. In terms of the league, we have moved up 2 places to ranked 8th in the rankings. You can see here, we are just behind the Portuguese top flight. We've just gone ahead of the Danish top flight, so really, really pleased with that. In terms of Egersund, we've moved to 5 places. We are now ranked 33rd in the European club ranking, so I'm really pleased with that. But we've just got to keep pushing on, to be honest with you. We've gone to the Norwegian rankings. Well, that is something I definitely wanted to make sure we didn't forget. We are now the highest ranked club in Norway, which is something absolutely insane to talk about. Egersund, now 2036, we are the highest ranked club in the country. I'm very proud of that. So in terms of this, we're obviously still cementing 8th place. What changes? If we go into 7th, we will get a team automatically in the group stage there. And we would also get... No, we wouldn't get a team automatically in the Europa League. So, yeah, I think I'm looking through this to see what change we would need. I think we would need to get there 6th place, wouldn't we? So if we got top 6, that's where it changes massively. We get 3 teams in the Champions League, etc. But for now, we're chasing down Portugal, but I can't see us doing it for a couple of years just because how far ahead they are. We're on coefficient-wise. We're both losing roughly the same point season, and their good season was only 2 years ago. We really next year need a proper good year in Europe to try to get ahead of Portugal and close that gap. Netherlands are around the same as well, so it's Portugal and Netherlands I think we can close the gap on. France, Germany, Italy, etc. We need the other teams to help us there. We need probably a European trophy from someone, be it us or another team in the country, to try to close the gap on them, because yeah, it's quite a big gap up to France, isn't it? It's like 25 points from where we are now. So we are due to move back into our stadium on the 18th of the 8th. It's going to expand to a 12,093 all-seater stadium, which is just insane. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, that's a recap of our European campaign. That's a look at how the other teams did in Europe. That's a look at how the coefficients, rankings, etc. look at the minute. Hopefully, it was nice to separate Europe. Let me know if there's any parts of it you would like to see. Actually, I tell you what, we should probably check is who actually won all the other competitions, shouldn't we? Probably a good idea. If we go on to Europe, scroll down, club competitions. So Europa League was won by Valencia over Real Sociedad, and the Conference League was won by West Ham. So the team that knocked out Viking Stavanger was the team who actually won the Conference League. So, like I say, you have probably got the hardest draw you could possibly get. I've been Paul, also known as the Northman. Thank you for continuing to support this series, and I'll see you next time.